and welcome to the Summit Yoga Beyond Exercise, conversations to heal and lead us into the new paradigm of peace, harmony, and prosperity. I'm Julie Upton, your host, and today's guest is Greg Paul from The Sovereign's Way. Greg is a teacher that helps us to understand the difference between law of mankind and legal, and what the game is that we're all here seemingly playing with each other, and that when we stop playing this game, we actually get to be who we are at the core as love itself, embodied and in action. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. Welcome, Greg, to the Summit Yoga Beyond Exercise. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing with the listeners.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very intrigued to participate in this.
Yes, I find myself in this moment in time balancing like different lives, you know, what I would call the 3-dimensional life and the 5-dimensional. And that's just words. I can see the human transition, the arc from like an old way of being to a new way of being, hence the new paradigm. But to share with the audience a little bit how I met you through a group of meditators that I belong to when we were all discussing law and forced vaccinations and just things like this, of this nature. And I just stepped back and I said, whoa, this is not me. Like I own me. Nobody is ever going to do anything to me. If they choose to do something to me, that's on them. But I know that I make decisions for me. Always have, always will. So then I was turned on to The Sovereign's Way, which is you. And we had a conversation. And the thing that was so fascinating was that you are helping so many of us to understand law versus legal and the fascinating aspects of that, but also the deeper part about being a man or a woman and having complete autonomy over your property. And that is how I ended up. I said, of course, I'm in your course right now, and it's by far the best. It's great. For me, it's great because even the conversations and the Telegram channel are fascinating. It's like going to a Dharma talk, you know, but it's more in real life. It's not theory. It's like, oh no, this is how you apply it to your life. And so this summit's all about like a lot of people think of yoga as just exercise. So that's not me. I'm all about understanding the nature of what this reality is and pulling apart the mind and how we see things and how we perceive, including like our emotions and our materials. But the summit's about the transition really of evolution of humankind, so to speak, as I'm observing it. So there has to be a healing process. And in order for that healing to take place, you kind of have to look at, you have to assess, right? You have to assess what's going on. So that's the inspiration for just putting out high vibrational content. Because for me, it's less about what's being said and more about the heart and the vibration of which it's coming out with. Whether people understand that or not, that's not for me to decide. It's going to be certainly interesting information. So I thought we'd start by kind of just asking, because I'm curious how you explain what you do, like why you do it and how you do it.
Well, for me, the answer to life is law. It's like if you want to play a game, if you're going to play Monopoly or chess or any game, you need to know the rules. And you're going to play a game, you go and you learn the rules first. You know that it'd be pretty stupid not to do that. But we don't know the rules for the game of life. We don't know the rules for the game of commerce that we play. And everyone's happy just going about playing those games, the game of life and the game of commerce, without knowing the rules. And that has always seemed like lunacy to me. So I was out there trying to find out what the rules of the game were. And the rules of the law, rule is law. Not the rule of law, but the rules are law. There's no escaping the laws of the soul. You just need to know what they are so that you can remove controversy and bring forth remedy under the laws of the soul. That's healing. That's how I would say healing is. Now, when you want to, that everything that we actually have in our external lives then is just really an expression of what we haven't resolved within. And so we teach in the course, certainly, how to resolve any situation, how to deal with those of mankind who may act as police officers, thinking they can impose unlawful acts, codes, and statutes upon you. But there's a misunderstanding with this whole law thing, and people get so wrapped up in it, and common law is my solution, and they're all just other aspects of the same game and the same story and the same game. It's just like, oh, I'm not going to play as the ship. I'm not going to play Monopoly as the ship anymore. I'm going to play as the car instead, because the car's got an extra couple of hotels. It's not the way to be free. The way to be free is to step back from it and see that you were never the token in the first place. You are the man or woman that sat at the board game playing the pieces. And when it actually lands in you and you remove the fears from you that prevent you, that keep you attached into the token, then you can actually move and play that game fully and completely. You don't have to run away from it. You don't have to turn it or your back on it all. You just have to engage it cleanly as a man or woman. What we never did, you see, is we never actually let anyone else know what our law is. It's like, well, everyone's complaining about how their rights are being taken away, but have you actually gone and said, hey, I, a woman, or I, a man, say that this is my property and this is the law for my property, and therefore these are my rights. And I will consider it to be a trespass by way of harm and or extortion and or loss if you or any other of mankind do trespass upon those rights. Did you ever do that? And until you do it, it's a simple thing now. If you don't own it, you have the ability to express your rules for your own life, your law for your own life. And it's not like, this is not some amorphous thing. It's not a theory. You just do it, and then the world conforms to you instead of the other way around. It's not a complicated thing. It's very, very simple. And everyone's got 1,000 reasons why it's not going to work, or why they shouldn't do it, or why. But they're, at the end of the day, they all boil down to not taking responsibility for oneself and one's own emotions. And as soon as you're willing to take responsibility for yourself, your life, your circumstances, your emotions, everything about your reality, then you can do it. Yeah, that's it. But this like, it's like the 3%, the tip of the iceberg, though. Yeah, how to express that. What we teach in the course is this: it's how to express yourself, your law, how to put forth your rights, how to press claims against those of mankind who would trespass against you. These aspects of this external alignment. But what's behind all of that is I. You know, what do we say when in the course when we're writing notices? I, a man, Greg Paul. Always the first thing we set is the fact of I. The degree to which we can actually put forth our law and express that into the world is the degree to which we've understood what I is. And you know, when we had that initial conversation before you joined the course, we talked about yoga, didn't we? And So it's like you said before about understanding the difference between legal and law. I call it like moving beyond legal to law. We call it moving beyond personhood into being a man or woman. And I would also call it moving beyond yoga into becoming tantra, where it's the same thing. It's just that, and you still do yoga. It's just that yoga is done to you. You don't practice it anymore. You don't do the asanas. You don't do the pranayama. You don't do these things. They are done to you. You just naturally breathe correctly. You naturally move. You naturally spontaneously do mudras and asana positions and all of the things that follow your actual alignment. It's not a practice. It's a state. And so for me, it's much more than just law. It's all law and healing and integration and exploring the boundaries of what it is to be a man or woman.
So one of the things that I keep thinking about is that when you're so invested in the game and you don't understand that it's a game, like, I find it interesting that some people are born understanding at least that there's a game being played. And then you kind of spend your life understanding that, knowing like there's universal laws, or as you call them, law of man. And then setting my own rules, my own law forward. You know, to me, that's complete autonomy. You know, I am, right? So when people are not informed, how important is it for us to be informed about this? Because this is the bridge part. Like, I know, and I was born knowing that there was a game, but I'm like going like this my whole life, like, whoa, this is not it, people. Like, and I'm saying it also to myself. And it's been like this journey to the place where you become fully embodied, alive within yourself. So how, like, you talk to a lot of people before they come on the course. So how do you talk to people? Like my mother, for instance, who's going to watch this. Like, I can't, you know, she went to Catholic school, you know, she's indoctrinated. She thinks that following authority is righteous. It's like the best thing to do. And she does it with a sincere heart. You know, how do you talk to somebody like that about autonomy and sovereignty?
Well, I don't care. I don't try.
Oh,
All I do is live my life as a man. And I express my law and I live the life that I choose. And people come along and they say, hey, can I talk to you? And then, oh, yeah, okay, why not? And then they listen. I don't go trying to make anyone listen to anything. You came to me.
That's true. I did. So that to me is exactly what Tantra is, like you were saying. And yoga for me it's a state of being. That's how I explain it. It's not a path. It's not a process. There are processes to get to a state of being. And, you know, some people will call that, you know, Tantra. And it is life being lived through us. And anything that isn't that is just, that's the work. Would you say that? Like, how do you view that?
No, I think everything that isn't that is us doing everything we can to avoid finding the work.
So it's more like a distraction or an avoidance.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do those things because some people need to go through them. But the whole point for me, the whole point of Tantra is that right now There is an ability for you to open up to a way of being that allows you to let it live you, to go through this healing process of raising our condition in love, to let it do that, so that we don't have to go through this, quite frankly, brutal healing journey that it is if you don't do that. If you can allow your container to become integral and to hold this field, then what your own heart can do to heal and to hold anything else to arise in it is phenomenal. When this little engine that you have inside actually lights up and comes on, and it does this little dance, and it comes on properly, and it creates an integrity for your aura, you become a safe container for yourself to be able to manage your own healing, or be able to experience your own healing. It's not to do anymore. There's no releasing anymore. It's dissolving. There's no more releasing of emotions. They dissolve in you. It's an entirely different way of really growing in love and returning home. And this is what our retreats are about. My retreats are about, really, is sharing this, because when you can switch your life to the point that every single day is a tiny bit more blissful and magical than the last, because you are truly like taken the opportunity that is there. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be arduous, like, at all. Maybe for some people it does for a while, but only till we decide we want to choose love, really.
So there's just nothing more to do. It's just choose to be love, and then allow that to animate.
Yes, but it's a case of like, what is love and what does love do, is first of all. So it's not just a case of, people have so many wrong definitions about what love is, that they then think that I'll just be loving and I'll try and project love out onto my household love. That's not what love does. That, in fact, that is an unloving action. What love does is love tells the truth to itself and to everyone and everything in its environment completely and openly. What love does is feel every emotion that comes up into its environment fully, without trying to reject or change or control anything whatsoever. Those are the two main things that love does. So if you're not doing those things, then you can't, there is no love present. No matter how much you might sit there and meditate and try and be loving, it's not present. So I think we just have to see what love is, and then do it, be it, allow it.
So how did you get to this point? I mean,
well, there were influences. There was a man who's the only real man I've ever met that's a true master, from whom I got the template of what a man really is. And I knew what one was. First time I ever saw one, okay, that's it. That's where I'm going. And there was a woman. And between the two of them, I got to reflect and dance and cry and shake my way back to some sense, at least, of ordinariness. I was off in the spiritual clouds creating all kinds of silly projects and stuff like that for years. But, you know, it's not the way. It's so exquisite, Jules. Like, there's this the system, the law It's the system, the real system. People are out trying to create new systems for us to live by. And they can't see that actually on the other side of all this, there's not going to be a new system. The system that God already has a system and it functions absolutely perfectly. It fulfills the law with every breath. It restores love. It's acting to restore that all the time. That's all that's playing out in the world right now. And there's people resisting the natural process of the operation of law that's causing all that heartache and trouble. The actual system that we have is exquisite already. It's completely all-fulfilling, self-policing, and bestows gifts and benefits upon all who just stop fighting it. And as soon as you see it, you kind of piss yourself laughing, really, that you spent so long resisting.
Yeah, I've been on that journey for a long time. I don't think I'll call it a spiritual journey anymore. It's more like a journey of letting go of that resistance, right? You don't have to label it anything because it is what we are. And it's either that or not that. And you can feel it inside. So, I mean, that's where I see everything it moving into, where people are accessing that pure love that you're speaking of. So maybe we should, just to give a context, give an example of, like, language gets so limiting in this, but an example of what, like in our first class, when you talked about titles and things like that, I think that is a good place to just give an example of something so that people can have a context who don't have maybe a background in this.
For sure. So you mean like an example of a man or woman expressing forth their law into the world?
Let's talk to people who are really, really afraid right now of forced vaccinations.
Oh. Well, it's an interesting subject because at the end of the day, almost nowhere in the world is there ever going to be a forced vaccination. What there will be, most likely in many places, is people, businesses in particular, being manipulated into imposing regulations that effectively deny you the ability to obtain goods, go to public places, travel and do other things, enjoy other the normal things that you've been enjoying for a very long time if you don't get a vaccine and prophylaxis. So, but what is that? If you actually see it for what it is, there's no government, there's no agents, there's no anyone that's doing this. They are men and women. They are those of mankind acting with fictitious titles under color of law to try and manipulate. What's that? That is trespass by way of extortion by the man or woman, John Smith, who at times acts as Prime Minister of Great Britain or whatever the office is. That's what that is. So who do you need to express your law to? You need to express it to that man or woman whose actions are threatening your to do harm or loss or extortion or whatever the real trespass is. See, we need to actually see things for what they are and name them that. We've been taught this whole lexicon of words that are not really true. They're legal words. They're creations of the legal society. And so, as you know, you saw in the first class, was like a list of 20 or 30 words we went through with you. And that's 2/3 of the entire vocabulary that we share in the entire course in that first week. That's 2/3 of it. So all we show is how to teach caveman again. I, man Greg, say you, woman Jules, did trespass by way of harm, by way of da-da-da. I require remedy in 7 days by this means. Sincerely, Greg Paul, man. It's very simple, nothing complicated, never moving away from the simplicity of what it is that we're actually expressing. Yeah, they're like a so-called, so you can either have this situation where, let's say you're pulled over by a police officer and asked to step out of your vehicle, or you're told that you'll be arrested if you don't step out of your vehicle. So that's not really what's happening. What's happening is that a man who at times acts as a police officer is threatening trespass by way of unlawful confinement. You can either look at things from the legal, every time the legal society is going to come, the world, the game, the monopoly, it's going to come. And the players in that game, they're going to come and they're going to, with a little offer saying, hey, this is what it is. This is what we're going to do right now. Do you agree? But unless you actually step forth as a man or woman and say, hey, just so you're aware, man, who at times acts as police officer, I don't consider that to be an arrest. I consider that trespass by way of unlawful confinement. And if you do that, then I'm going to charge you £10,000 plus £1 per second. The trespass continues. And it's on record here. So if you want to arrest me, go right ahead. It's very simple. It's very simple.
It is very simple. There's just getting used to it, really.
Yeah. And there's all the objections. People will be listening to this and saying, yeah, well, you do that, they'll do it anyway. And then what are you going to do? Well, then what you're going to do is you're actually going to press a claim for trespass by way of unlawful confinement against the man. You're going to put it into your own man court, in their court, and you're going to require a jury to come and hear a trial by jury, to come and hear your claim, and you're going to press it, and you're going to explain as a man or woman why you are in the right. It's our ability to express our law and explain ourselves and our position. The question is, can you explain to 12 other men and women what right and wrong is at law? I know I can. I know I convince any 12 men or women in this country what right or wrong is, and to uphold my rights as I say they are, because I'm clear about it. And what we need to do is just get clear about that to the point that we could do the same thing. Then you're free. Then you're never actually going to end up with a trial by jury, because no one is ever going to allow it to get that far.
So right now there's a lot of movement and around, this is here in the US, there's a lot of movement like to talk to police officers and sheriffs and explain, basically, they're going about it different ways, but some of them are saying, like, don't, going to them and asking them not to enforce masks, or like basically telling them what's right and what's wrong. But I see that they're coming from a good place, but it seems a bit ignorant in the sense of, like, nobody can force you to wear a mask. It's impossible, right? That's trespassing. So
it's not. Well, this is the thing. So trespassing is another creation of the legal society.
Oh.
Trespass is something. Trespassing is a fictional idea about going onto someone's property. Trespass is the most serious crime a man or woman can do to another. It's between souls. And it's the consequence of an accident that becomes a wrong, that becomes a trespass because a man or woman has failed to bring forth a remedy of law. That's why there's always 3 notices. That's why you always give 3 opportunities. Because something becomes a trespass. Nothing that you do. I mean, all right, if you murdered a family member or something, then it's an immediate trespass. But for all of the other things that we go around talking about trespass, they're not. immediate trespasses, unless they are wrongs, or they're either an accident or they're a wrong, but they're not a trespass. It only becomes a trespass when you've failed to bring forth remedy, given opportunities, and remedy is not being provided. Well, now I consider this a trespass. And if you don't want to provide remedy, I'll press my claim for trespass by way of harm or extortion or loss or barratry or whatever it is that you're doing at the moment.
It really...
No, I was going to say, it's just about being clear about what things are. It's like the whole, anything to do with a statute or code. Or you've come around here to what? Enforce a legal statute and code? Okay, well, you can call that an administrative procedure. I call that trespass by way of barratry. And if you want to do that here, well, you can issue your $100 fine if you want. But if you want to issue a $100 order to me, then I'll accept that order and I'll charge you $1,000 to carry out that order, plus £1 per minute for my time while I'm doing so. Do you accept that? It's very simple. It's just commerce. So it's just about learning the way to be a man or woman and speaking it. And there's the only objections anyone can have to this is the fears that they've got in the way, their own emotions, their own stuff in the way. So all the objections are addictions. Every objection anyone's got is an addiction that they're stuck to. That's why we do a course. So we can spend 12 weeks with you, removing all your objections. You go, yeah, but for 11 weeks. And then by the end of it, you're okay.
Yeah, it really is getting comfortable with it. It starts with the language or the knowledge of the titles and understanding kind of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Really understanding the game and then getting comfortable in the new language and being clear within myself about that, my law. And I can see how it can transform all relationships. I mean, because it's transforming the relationship I have with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore it ripples out to all the relationships. I notice my boundaries now are much more clear because I am more clear in my own law, like what feels right for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when that process completes itself and your boundaries are properly set, and you don't do this by just forcing it. That's putting up walls. You do it by releasing the emotional reasons why you have a hole or why you have attachments or these things. Yeah, and you release those things, and then your boundaries are naturally set. And once your boundaries are naturally set, well, now you actually don't have any more relationships. You'll never have a relationship again. You're just relating. You're moving about, cleaning up, creating no cords, no attachments, no neediness, no looking for things, no seeking. Just relating to those of mankind with whom you come into contact. It's exquisite the way the system works. Like I still marvel at it.
Do you think that you can marvel at it because you can see what it used to be like? You know, or it just feels that good inside?
It's like a gift that's been offered to us the whole time. It's been there, and all you have to do is just receive it. And you receive it by crying a lot, by shaking a lot, by letting out the things that your environment is trying to tell you are in there. You just let it die to your environment for a few years, and it clears itself out. And when you just allow that, and you just have the faith to just do it, then there is a gift on the other side which just unfolds new blessings every single day. And you'll ask yourself every single day, not like ups and downs, like some days, but like every single day, you'll get up and you'll laugh and you'll wonder, how does it get any better than this? But you already know that the next day it's going to. And this is the life we were created to live. People say that we are infinite beings. I say bullshit. We're very finite beings. Do you feel infinite? Have you ever felt really infinite like that? I know that you can connect to sit and rest in consciousness itself and, the infinite field, but are you an infinite being? We're very finite beings, but what we do have is the capacity for infinite growth. And when you just accept that, because that's the humble reality of life, is that we are very finite beings and very small. But I have the capacity for infinite growth. I have the capacity to receive an infinite supply of divine love and to grow my soul and expand in my capacity for love and creation and co-creation. And so it's never ending. So I literally know that every single day it's going to get a little bit better. Every day. And yeah, I can't do anything. I don't know what to say other than thank you.
How, one of the other big things that's coming up for people that I constantly see is money, right? And how, they always have asked me that, for instance, how do you make your money? And I'm like, well, sometimes it's hard for me to tell people, because it's not about money for me. It's just I do what feels right, and everything I need kind of comes. It doesn't mean that I don't do or act or be, but that's how does that play out when you're in this just pureness of being?
Well, it's just that nothing has to change about your life. Just things do have to change. You need to start telling the truth, and you need to start feeling. But apart from that, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to change anything. You start doing those two things and your life will transform itself around you. It will conform to you. And whatever it is doesn't need to change. You can do whatever you're doing right now. But instead of being the ship or the car or the shoe sat on the board game playing the game of life, you're just the man or woman that sat at the table playing the game. You're going to get up. You can just play for 10 minutes. You can go and get up. You're going to make some dinner. You're going to watch a movie, or you're going to make love with your partner, or whatever it is you're going to do. You might just play Monopoly for 10 minutes of the day. But you probably play because you enjoy it, only when you enjoy it and where you enjoy it, not in any other way. That's all it is. For me, I recognize that I engage through a world that has a certain set of beliefs and other things around money and systems and the like. And I don't have those beliefs, but I don't believe the opposite either. I just don't have the beliefs. So I don't have some resistance to receiving or using money. I'm just going to do and express whatever my soul passions and desires are in a given moment. I don't do anything. One of the big things that I had to do maybe 3 years ago, I bet it was. Yeah, about 3 years ago. And I was just like, if I'm going to be a safe container for myself and my emotions, I need to start trusting myself. How can I possibly trust myself as long as I'm steamrolling myself? I'm forcing myself to do things I don't want to do. So it's like, okay, from this day forward, I am not going to act again. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not even going to get out of bed this morning. I'm not going to go and have a shower. I'm not going to do anything whatsoever unless I am in full agreement and alignment with that action. And so that literally is what I did. I would stay in bed for hours until I'd had this inner conversation and come to a complete agreement that I wanted to do this. I did it for everything in life, like everything. And I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. So I just decided that day that I wasn't going to do anything I didn't fully want to do anymore. And if it was something that needed to be done, well, I'd say, okay, but I'm still going to sit here and have this internal conversation to bring on board the part of me that's objecting to this. Now, what is it you want? Why don't you want to do this? What's the resistance? What's the fear? What's the whatever? What do you need to plead? What do you need to come on board with this? And so I'd give it to myself before I acted. You know, the amount of self-trust that you get from doing that. And so then I could move forward. And then it just created the space where I could just live my passions and desires. I didn't need to live in fear about what I was or wasn't going to do. It was just natural that I would do what I choose to do, what I would desire to do in each moment. And when you live what your desires are, you live by desire in every second. That's Tantra. And then life is going to fulfill, life is going to meet your desires. Every time you live by a desire, it's going to meet it. And then the process just becomes about purifying your desire. So you get some feedback and see, oh, maybe that one was a bit out of harmony with love. I'll just straighten that up a bit, feel the emotions that are causing it to be that way, and on and on. What's the next desire I have? What's the next desire? What's this next desire in this moment? And do it. When you do that, then whatever your work is, whatever anything else is, it conforms to you. You don't really need to think about money. You just open the channels to be able to receive money. Yeah, you open the channels, but you don't need to think about it. It's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does to me. I don't know if it'll make sense to other people. I've always done that. Just I open up the channels because I do live in this body that exists in this perception. So I open up channels to receive. And then, you know, as you said, working through emotions, the feelings, and the trust, that is the key. Because it's that thing that goes against everything we've been taught, you know, or it's such a deeply ingrained belief system that life is done a certain way. And that's what didn't make sense to me when I was little. Mm-hmm. I said, there's no way. It just common sense was just like, no, you don't get put into this like vehicle to suffer so greatly. That doesn't make any sense. I think by looking at nature, I think that is pretty obvious. And so I understood that there had to be something else. It ended up being a choice. Mm-hmm. It was a choice for me, and I guess it's a refinement of those choices. A lot of it has to do with emotion, as you're saying. I think that asking yourself these questions, this is self-inquiry, so to speak, and not compromising. You know, it can take some time, but as you're saying, the payoff is clearly,
I mean, you could approach it from so many different directions, but the quicker you surrender to the law is very clever. There's actually you don't need to figure out what emotions you need to heal. You don't need to figure out what traumas you have. You don't need to figure any of it out because your environment is telling you. Law of attraction is bringing you in every single moment exactly what you need to release the most prominent emotion in your soul. It's preventing you from growing in love. So you just say, okay, like when you know that, and if you're okay, wow, okay, great, this is a really big help. So now anything that comes into my environment, whatever it's making me feel. So if you've got this, if your biggest thing right now is I'm terrified of forced vaccinations coming along, I'd be like, oh great, well this prospect of forced vaccinations, this is a real gift for me because it's making me address some core probably terror that I've got around control and domination. And if I can just like surrender to these feelings that are coming up right now, rather than trying to engage the addiction of living in my fear and find endless ways to avoid that, then, and I surrender to that fear, and I just allow myself to shake and feel it and go into it. And, you know, all right, let's just imagine for a minute that someone's going to come to your door and stick a needle in you. And, you know, your RNA is going to be changed forever. Like, so, yeah. All right, let's go into that. What are you afraid of? What is it? Feel it. And on the other side, you're going to be free. Once you release something from your soul, it's gone, it's done. Now the same thing can't have the same power over you. So what I'm suggesting is not to not act. I'm saying, yeah, write your proverbial notices, put them on the gate, yeah, and send them out there. But do it after you've taken the gift of the attraction, which is showing you the emotion you need to heal and release in yourself. Because when you do both, when you release that emotion, and then a lot of the time you then won't actually even want to or feel the need to put a notice out there. But then if you do, if it's still a real thing and you still feel the need to do that, now you're going to write it with clarity, without emotion, with being colored by emotion. You're going to write it powerfully, directly, as a real woman or a real man. And anyone who receives that is going to say, oh, there's a man or a woman that's there. Let's cross that one off the list.
That's one of the things that I think is so powerful, is when you have that clarity and you're just coming from that love. It's like this, it's not layered with anything else. That's true clarity in my experience. It's just stating what is.
Yeah, love does not tolerate unloving things in any way. Yeah. But it also doesn't need to pick up arms and fight it. All it needs to do is tell the truth, like completely and clearly, 100%. And anything that is out of harmony with that truth will run in the opposite direction, shitting itself. That's all.
I think what I like about hearing it from you is that it's grounded in this, I'll just say it like, material reality. It's real it's real for me, without being some like floaty idea. It's in the sense, like you're saying, look in your environment, see what's coming up for you, right? It's not sitting on a cushion with my eyes closed. It's literally relating to the world that I have created.
Yeah.
And
that's the meditation.
And that is the meditation. And taking the time and acknowledging that that is happening. Mm-hmm. For me, way more fun. It's like way more fun to be, kind of relating, as you were saying, to the world around me.
I know that I'm not sure how long we're running for today, but if there's one thing that we haven't covered today, and I would really like, that would be a really good way of kind of concluding this whole picture. It's about the biggest thing that would really make a difference in anyone's life right now. And it's to actually see what the process is, to actually see what the journey is. So it's to accept and see where you're actually at. Like if I want to travel from here in Scotland to London and I don't know the way, I need to know where I'm actually at so I can put that in the sat nav or find the map and see how I'm gonna get there. Like if I start saying to I've got someone's driving with me and they're saying, okay, we're here in Scotland. I said, no, we're in Manchester. Put Manchester in. We'll go from Manchester. I'm like, yeah, but we're not in Manchester. We're in Scotland. Then we're not going to get to London if we put Manchester in the sat nav. And that's what almost everyone that's on a healing journey or is on some kind of an awakening path at the moment, almost everyone this is the big thing. We want to be somewhere we're not. We want to be more further down the road, further down the path than we actually are. And it's the biggest thing that gets in the way of progress. Yeah, you're right. And it's a fact that most of us are in a much lesser condition of love than we would like to believe and hope that we are. But wouldn't you rather just know that to be true? And then you can accept it, and then you can grow. Instead of trying to find all the ways to appear to be more loving to yourself and the world. And creating an amazing, loving facade that's just hiding more and more. It's getting more consolidated. The most significant thing for me that's ever happened is being willing to see where I was actually at. That there were aspects of my soul that were actually in a genuinely hellish condition. And accepting that. Yeah, I'd had all these great spiritual experiences and grand realizations and samadhi states and whatever else. But there were aspects of my soul that were still in not just a low, but a hellish condition. And once you accept truth, then it can come out of you. Everything that's out of harmony with love can now come out of you because you're willing to accept it. And then it can leave. It can integrate. And then it's not there anymore. So if anyone is watching this, that would be my greatest wish for every brother and sister on this planet right now, would be that they have the gift of their own desire to see where they're truly at, where their soul is really at right now, and meet themselves where they are. Because from there, anything's possible. Once you know yourself, then you can express your law forth into the world. You don't need to be enlightened, you just need to be in harmony with truth. And then you can be free. Great system.
Yeah, that's it. You got to have the desire. If you don't have the desire, then you don't have the desire. I understand that. Yeah. Well, very enlightening, so to speak, talking with you. I don't know how people will receive this or anything, but it doesn't matter. For me, doing the work in your course is by far the best experience and in its perfect timing. Um, because I was on that journey seeking something, even if I told myself I wasn't. And I understood in theory what you're speaking about, but it's like when it's butted up against like what's happening in the world right now, it's easy, it's like clear. My resistance is clear. And I actually am experiencing it through other people's resistance. I'm like, oh yeah. And then I can see how I'm playing out these funny little games. It can be very subtle. But I just have to watch it and then be and let go. And as you said, shake it off and accept it, allow it.
Well, it's also very practical. You know, the things we teach in the course are very specific, very practical ways to bring forth remedy. They never allow a wrong to go unchecked. You've seen it in the chats in the group. It doesn't matter whether it's a controversy that I might have created by my own ignorance in the past, or whether it's something someone else brings into the environment. If it's in my environment, I have the ability to bring forth or require remedy immediately, and to bring the environment back to peace. So very simple. Very simple.
But what I have noticed is, and I know you call it resistance, it's like people going like this, you know, try like it's like a cat scratching at the door, you know. It's like, but until we take that radical personal responsibility, it's always coming across as putting it off on someone else. But only I.
It is that. It is.
Okay, it is that. And
every time we do that, every time we put something out into someone else, we harm ourselves and them in the process.
Yes. And now it's so clear. It's like that's my environment right now, for instance, is observing this, you know, in this chat when I check it. And it is causing me to laugh a lot, which is a good thing, and to let go a lot. And I know I am better for it. And I don't want to say I'm looking forward to a time when my is complete, but I am. Like when my clarity and my love is, it just is, right? Where
the thing is, it's like you can never tell when it is, but it's like when enough of the holes in the aura, so in one way or another, some emotional injury. It's like it's the last one, and you can't tell when it's going to. You can't. It's not like you start getting closer to it, and then you feel it coming. It's just like one happens, like one attachment, one hole, something that's just gone, and then boom, it's on. So if you are tantric, that is, if you are switched on in that way, then you'll become that. You know, for me, it was just one particular attachment. I let go of this one particular attachment, and boom, that was it. I didn't pick. It was like, actually, it could have happened almost a year and a half earlier if I'd have let go of this particular attachment. I did a load of other healing in the midst of it, but it was ready. It was potential for that amount of time. You never know what it is until you just deal with it. But your environment's always telling you what you need to deal with next. So you just keep doing it until it's done.
So when you say your environment is just always telling you, is it the feelings that it's invoking?
Yeah, exactly.
And when those feelings are not desirable, then that is not love or not in alignment.
Yeah, it's showing you all the things you need to deal with. The question then is whether you're going to live in those feelings or whether you're going to feel them. See, most people say, well, yeah, Greg, I feel my fear. And I say, no, you don't. You live in your fear. You allow you literally live in it. And something comes along and it makes you afraid. And then you think of the 1,000 things you're going to do to change your reality. And you take all these different actions that are in some way going to make that fear go away. And I'm saying all of those things are not feeling your fear.
Okay.
The feeling your fear is just feeling it. Or saying, wow, okay, I just feel this fully. And if you do it, you're going to shake. If it's fear, then you're going to shake, like wildly, probably, if you allow yourself to. And then it's going to be gone. And then you're not going to be afraid of it anymore. And then your environment isn't going to bring you shit that's going to attract that. So you can spend the rest of your life living in your fear and doing things to please your fear or whatever other emotion it is. That's fine. But the law is really just trying to say, hey, just feel this once and I'll let you off the hook forever. And we just say, no, don't want to do that. No, I'm going to live in it. And then I'll feel this forever. I'll just keep on living the same shit out over and over again. And the law just wants to say, look, if you just feel it once, I'm just trying to help you get this out of you. So you just have to feel it once and it'll be gone. And then that'll be done. And then you can move on to the next one. And we'll just clear up that mess together. And it ain't going to take long if you just let it happen. That's what the law's saying to you the whole time.
So that is the law. The law is.
Well, that's the laws of the soul. Yeah, they don't apply to everyone and everything. That's the law trying to remedy unloving use of free will. So there's everything that we're experiencing is a consequence of our prior unloving use of our own free will. That is our life. And the law isn't penalizing us. It's trying to say, hey, I'd like to help you clean this mess up. Here's what you need to do. Feel this one, feel this one, feel this one.
I think that's the clearest. That is very clear.
That's what the law of attraction is.
The free will. But some people have a hard time with, I understand the law of attraction because you're constantly attracting to you what you're emotionally charged about or putting out. Is that how you would explain it?
Yeah. You're attracting two things. You're attracting your desires and you're attracting your errors, the injuries in your soul. Attracting both of those things. And so you're also attracting some of those desires might be in harmony with your actual real soul, pure passions and desires, but most of them are going to be, if you're not really chosen this way of healing, of choosing to want to feel and tell the truth and the likes, then your desires are going to be very matched to suppressing yourself. Your desire is actually to do things to avoid the mess. So until we actually choose it, then we don't really get, most of it's out of harmony. The law of attraction is bringing mostly things that are there to be remedied.
Yeah.
It's a little helper though. Really helpful little helper.
The law of attraction.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's this balance. It's like the unseen and the seen world. Like the things that need to be seen in order for us to live in this perfectly harmonious life are being shown to us through our environment, which is causing us to feel a certain way that when it's not fully feeling good or love or free, or then that's what needs to be addressed.
Because we're refusing to feel it willingly.
Right.
As soon as you want to feel everything willingly, the attractions change. It's like consider like the laws of the soul have like two alternative routes: forgiveness or compensation. Either you voluntarily choose to forgive, i.e., to release all the emotions you've got inside of you, or compensation kicks in. You can do one or the other. Either you can do it by your own free will, or the laws are going to grind away at you.
Okay, so say somebody is like, they hear this and they're like, yes, I want to be free. I want what that guy has. So the quickest way to that is to just through your own free will, which we all have, is to consciously say to yourself, I am here. I am willing to feel everything that needs to come up.
No, because that's not true. The point is to start being truthful with yourself and your environment. Now, if that was true, you would already be feeling those things. Yeah? So it's not. So that would be a lie. So what I'm saying is the two things to do is tell the truth and feel everything. So the truth is, all right, if I'm not doing this, then the truth is I don't want to. And I genuinely do not want to heal. I do not want to feel my emotions. I don't want to do these things because I'm not doing them. So, but I do wish I had the desire to. Let's start there. And I can see that as long as I'm not in a condition of truth with my environment, that any belief that I would wish I had the desire to is an illusion as well. So I need to start telling the truth. So that thing that I don't tell my partner because I think it might like upset their balance or whatever, then why am I not saying that? Is it for them, or is it because I don't want to feel the emotions that I will feel when they lose their balance? I'm not going to feel safe anymore. They're going to be angry. They're going to get the projection of anger, whatever it is. We just need to start telling the truth and not coming up with reasons why to not tell the truth. And be willing to feel what is inevitably going to come into your environment when you start telling the truth. Just tell the truth. But don't try to make air castles for yourself about where you're at. That's the whole point. No, I don't. Definitely do not say this is, I desire this and I desire that, because it's not true. That's an affirmation. If you want to use affirmations, go in the opposite direction. You look at, write down all the things you would affirm. I am this, I wish. And then that is your list of things that are not true, where the opposite is the truth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am worthy. People thought, I am worthy. Worthy of what? Okay, I'm worthy. Well, that's your affirmation. If you feel you need to affirm that, then the absolute truth of this matter is that you have very little self-worth. I have no self-worth. Start there. Everything that you would write as an affirmation, turn it upside down, and there is the truth. Sit with it, own it, cry about it. And the truth will set you free of the hamster wheel of spiritual bullshit. It's very simple.
Yes.
Just tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
That's what's going to go up on my wall today. Tell the truth. Since I started doing your course, I've noticed, ironically, how I don't tell the truth. So there it is. You think you're telling the truth and then you're not telling the truth. And there's only one person that suffers from that, and that's me. And I don't want to suffer anymore. So yeah, and it's subtle. So, it's just about awareness and being with myself like all the time.
So I know by the fact that I am not also in a condition of complete at-one-ment. I know that I am not in a complete condition of truth. I know I'm not fully allowing all of my feelings. Yeah, I know that those two things are not true, because if I were fully 100% doing those things, I would be in a complete condition of one.
You'd be in a complete condition of
like at one, to be at one with the creator, to be emotion, have the same thoughts, feelings, emotions around every subject as the creator herself. I would be in that condition if I was really that. So I know I'm not stupid enough to think that just because I do religiously tell the truth with everyone and everything in my environment, that I'm fully in harmony with the truth, because I can't be. But I know that by doing the path, by doing what I do, that I will continue every day to get more so. And I'll see, because it gets finer and finer the further you go. It's tiny little things that are not quite in harmony with absolute truth. So it gets finer and you refine it, and you see the little details now of the disharmony and where you're not feeling things.
like, I hope people that hear this, they are excited for this video to be over and to just go and like, invite this into their lives.
Well, it's not what most people want to hear. Really. It's not. So it's not going to be popular. But at the end of the day, more and more people are open to it, because their environment is getting increasingly harsh in its reflections.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
So there's that choice. I guess what we are bringing up in this conversation is that there is choice, that environment can be what you desire it to be. But in order for it to be, well, it's always what you desire it is. But if you don't like it, then only you can change it.
Exactly.
And you are not under anybody else's control. It's all you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all up to you, and nobody can do it for you.
Exactly.
And there's nobody to blame.
Yeah, you want to know what you want, what your desires are. Just look at your life. Your life is exactly what you want it to be right now.
And that's what manifestation is. That's the law of attraction, because every single person, that's all that there ever is that.
So if I think that I don't want this really, then what is it about me and my beliefs or feelings that is not wanting that wants it to be this way? Why do I want it to be this way? What's holding me back? I just want to know the truth. Desire will show the answers. As soon as you want to know, you get to see. It's very clever like that. If you don't see, you don't want to know.
It's amazing. This life. I want to know. My soul always wants to know. I see. I see how I've been like, I want to know. I don't want to know. Playing this game, addicted to certain emotions or feelings, a belief that I think I need to suffer in order to gain some understanding. There's a lot of games playing. There's a lot of games playing themselves out. It's playing themselves out in all these different ways. And what you said about truth, it's like truth. Okay, what is truth? And then if you want to master the game, You have to ask the right questions and be willing to do. I mean, I'm calling it work, but do the releasing, to bringing it up and releasing.
Just be
Or
willing
not.
to be. Just be willing to be yourself.
Just be willing to be yourself. There you
Yeah,
go.
you are an emotional being. We all are emotional beings. If you want to experience love, you have to be willing to experience the other things that are inside you until they're gone. You just be willing to know yourself. Who doesn't want? Why wouldn't anyone not want to know themselves?
I don't
I
know.
know that there's a lot of clear reasons for that, but if I didn't want to know myself, I'd want to ask, why is it I don't want to know myself? What's the reason for that? Maybe I can look at that, find out.
That's a good question. So many good questions to ask yourself, and that's the journey, right? Here we are. That's what else is for me. I can't imagine doing anything else. Well, thank you for your time and your wisdom and your sharing your journey with us. And I really appreciate it. I know it's helping me to know myself better. Clearly, that was what I desired. And I tend to do it in this way, you know, where I see it with other people. So I'm grateful.
Well, thank you for inviting me and for this lovely chat.
And people can find Greg at thesovereignsway.com if you want more information.